I'm Em Sauter, better known as Pints and Panels.
And I'm Don Tess, better known as the Dawn of Beer.
This week on the show, we'll be talking about winter beers for the holidays. Ho, ho, ho. Visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And if you're feeling generous, visit our Patreon page, patreon.com/allaboutbeer, to support this show and others. Don, happy holidays to you.
Sure, whatever.
Don, I didn't think you were a Scrooge, but what if I told you
it's like you don't even know me.
But come on, man. But we're talking about winter beers, and we're going to be talking with two great breweries about nerdy stuff, about malt and brewing practices and festivals and things you love and respect. So what do you think?
My heart just grew 3 sizes today.
Wonderful.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. If you would like to help support the All About Beer podcast, reach out to podcast@allaboutbeer.com. Speaking of supporting the show, here is a word from our sponsors.
Malteurop Malting Company is based in North America, specializing in growing and producing quality malts for the craft beer and distilling industries. With local farms and malt houses spread across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, Malteurop Malting Company's commitment to excellence is fully ingrained into every batch it produces, ensuring breweries and distilleries of any size can create the finest beverages on the planet. Visit malteuropmaltingco.com to learn how Malt Europe Malting Company can support your malting needs. Contact Malt Europe Malting Company at customersuccess@malteurope.com or dial 844-546-MALT for questions or to place your order. Estrella Galicia, where brewing excellence has been a family tradition since 1906. Today, the 5th generation proudly continues the brewery's legacy. Immerse yourself in the rich taste of Galicia with its traditional family recipe, brewed consistently with the same authentic ingredients and methods. Trust them to deliver traditional flavor that's like no other every single time. Estrella Galicia is all about lager, rooted in German brewing heritage. Maintaining its commitment to tradition, they brew exclusively in their brewery in La Coruña. Each beer boasts its own distinctive recipe. No shortcuts, no compromises. Their passion for beer sets them apart as they embrace and celebrate the art of brewing. At Estrella Galicia, they love beer above all things. Experience the difference, sip by sip.
Leah Wong Ashburn is the president/CEO and second-generation family owner of Highland Brewing Company in Asheville, North Carolina. She left a successful career in the printing industry to come join the family business in 2011 and took over from her father as brewery president and CEO in 2015. Welcome to the show, Leah.
Hey, it's great to be here.
So how long has Highland been around? You guys have been around for a while, right? Or
yeah.
Am I just, or like in like, I don't know, a while in craft beer is such a...
Yeah, is that like more than 5?
That's I know. It's like, we've been around since 2018. We've been around forever.
Yeah, so we've been around a while times 6. We will be 30 years old in 2024.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Elder statesman.
I know.
That's
former stateswoman as
statesperson. Yeah. Excuse me. Pardon my. So has Cold Mountain is your winter beer. When did that start being part of the equation in Highland Brewing?
Yeah, just a couple years into our existence. So Cold Mountain's 28. And started out, a different name and has been slightly different beers over its long lifetime. But there is a magic around it it is really wonderful for Highland and for the whole thousands of people that have come to drink it at the brewery and look for it in the market. So we are unbelievably grateful for what this beer does.
And for people who haven't had it, and I have never had it. I've had your beers there, wonder. I do not live in a place where your beer is sold. How would you describe Cold Mountain in its current state? So like, what are people looking for flavors, or just, what's the beer like?
Cold Mountain.
Yes. Thank you, Don.
Ooh, I mean, I wish you could ask like 100 of our guests that question. That'd be so much fun to hear them answer. because they are so excited about it, the energy around it. So like that's the magic of Cold Mountain, is this like holiday energy around it.
Mm-hmm.
The beer itself is it's a spiced winter ale, and it is a medium bodied, always has vanilla, always has a nut. The nut can change. It's always got some fruit component. I believe it's always had cinnamon. I might be wrong on the always part there, but it is pretty traditional. So the mix of those things can change, and it always results in some magic that leads to a 3-day party, 4 days if you count the beer dinner, a frenzy in the market, and it's our biggest celebration of the year. It's awesome.
Go ahead, Don.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, you mentioned, some of the changes. What inspires those changes every year? Why did you, in the first instance, 28 years ago, oh, we should change this beer every year? And then are there limitations to that change? Like, is it the ingredients that are available to you, or just your inspiration that year, or what's some of the thinking there?
That's a good way to say it, Don. The inspiration for that year, and also the people that are involved that year. So we have opened it up to larger and smaller groups at Highland. So the staff that's involved in it. So we'll have a tasting panel, and folks can try different iterations of, quality, sensory. They're going to give it direction. The brewers all give it direction, but then there might be some versions of it that come out to kind of refine that direction, figure out, some of the preferences for that year. So it's not just, it's not like Dad and I go out and be like, this beer has to be the same every year, and this is the way we like it. There's a whole lot more openness about it, which makes it really fun and brings more people into the process.
Ah, I see.
That's nice. So it's a collaboration between everybody. That's what Christmas and the
I was
holidays
just
and
about to
winter is
say.
all about. It's about getting together. And
Right. Yeah. That's the breweries themselves too. And just this beer in particular, it was Asheville's first seasonal beer. And that's a pretty cool.
Oh, wow. That's
Oh, wow. I didn't know
we
that.
were Asheville's first brewery. And so it wouldn't, kind of make sense that not too long after that, we made the first seasonal beer, and it has remained a seasonal the whole time. There's some folks that say, oh, you should make this year round. And we're like, yeah, cool. Absolutely not. Part of the magic is this launching of the holiday season. And we hear these incredible stories about when people, who they ship it to, where they drive it to, who they share it with every single year. And it's a really special.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. But one of the other things you do is you do the Cold Mountain Festival in November as a big release for this beer, correct? So that's when did that start happening, or has that always happened? And tell everyone a little bit about what goes on there, because you touched on it briefly, but
well, it's a good point to be made that we haven't always had a huge party. We haven't always had a huge space to have a party in. So starting from a basement in downtown Asheville allowed us to have people or a truck and a rat, and all those things would happen in the same space downtown. And it really wasn't meant for guests. So we spent our first 12 or 13 years there and moved up here on the hill in 2006. I think the tap room opened 2008. I think my husband argues with me on that date. But that's when we started having real space to have a party. Not in the production space. That also comes with complications and safety issues, and people and dogs getting into things that you really don't want them to be that much of the brewing process. So in this tap room, that's when we really started making it a big deal, and growing it from one Thursday night in November to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then more recently, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with the dinner on Thursday. So we pre-sell tickets. We have an incredible music lineup, and then all of the the varieties, all of the packages, all the merch, all of the pilot batches. So it's a fantastic time.
Can you talk a bit about the idea for a beer festival? I don't know if that's even the right word, built around one beer. I think, a lot of people think of GABF or whatever, where there's hundreds of beers. Like, do you get the beer geeks coming out, or is it families wanting to kick off their Christmas celebration?
Mm-hmm. It is a lot of holiday kickoff. We kind of guide families toward Sunday, especially. We are a really family-friendly brewery, but we've also learned over the years that focusing the family-centered celebration on a Sunday just works better. So if we're going to have a 3-day party, we guide those families to Sunday.
Oh, I see.
We have a daytime and evening session on Friday and Saturday. So you get like a pass for any one of those 4 sessions. So 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, or the one on Sunday. And you just have to go in and see which bands are playing and which ones you want to listen to. They're all so good. We knocked it out of the park this year. And I just wanted to see, I wanted to be in more than one place at one time. And then food trucks are all over the place. Just all the varieties of beer. So I guess instead of a beer festival, it's a celebration of a beer.
Yeah.
And and a music festival, and tons of food are all around that.
What are what are the pilot batches? Now I'm like, I saw something about coconut Cold Mountain.
Yeah. Well, what we tend to do is we make spin-offs of classic Cold Mountain, and we tend to keep them at the brewery. So 3 of them got packaged. There's coconut, there is chocolate hazelnut, and the third one, I'm over 50, so I can't remember a damn thing. The third one, Imperial, of course. So we've done Imperial for maybe 4 years. So those go in 16-ounce cans. You can get a 4-pack of each one of those. We also for the first time, we did a variety pack, which, hey, variety packs, selling like crazy across the entire craft beer market, right? And for the first time, we did a variety pack with 4 coconuts, 2 Imperials, and 2 chocolate hazelnut, and they sold amazing. And our packaging team loved it because we could automate the variety pack for the first time.
So there's innovation.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cool stuff. I did want to ask, so your winter ale, and what I've realized about a lot of winter ales is that they're really high alcohol, but yours is not. It is 5.9%. Was that a choice? Why the lower ABV? I mean, 5.9 is not super low. It's not sessionable in any means, but I was just surprised to see that, a lot of Christmas beers or winter beers are 11%, 10%.
Right.
So, what's the reasoning behind the lower alcohol level?
Em, I love that question because no one's ever asked quite that way. But the real reason is because Cold Mountain came out before Pop the Cap happened in North Carolina. So we couldn't even sell beers over 6%.
Oh,
right.
I didn't even think about that.
That's how long it's been around.
Wow. And now you can do Imperial Cold Mountain, but that was not even legal before.
That's right. Yeah. So that's a cool connection.
This is North Carolina beer law history in a can.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there we have it. If you just come to Highland, you will learn all kinds of history. And then, forward facing as well. So we're going to keep changing the ones that we package. We'll change 2 of them next year, but I don't want to announce which ones yet. Okay. And we've always got the pilot batches too. Like my favorite this year was breakfast, and it was maple. Oh my God. It was just like the perfect amount of maple in it. And I put a touch of the smoked on top for sort of a maple bacon vibe. And I was so happy.
You talked about the great kickoff party. What happens? How do you predict what sales will look like, and then what happens after Christmas? Do people still buy it? And I'm just wondering on, I guess, the business side of it.
Right. Well, we have this big, huge release at the brewery, first or second weekend in November. And then the classic Cold Mountain is gone as of Monday. So we sell it here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's 4 days that like basically there's public access to it at the brewery.
Okay.
It also hits the market on that Monday. But after that, the classic Cold Mountain's gone from the brewery, and you can get spin-offs.
Oh, it's so limited.
Just the 4 days. Wow, that really is
Just
seasonal.
the 4 days for package.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still on draft, but package goes away, and we're just selling the spin-offs in package after that Monday. And the rest of it, like, it has already shipped to the market, because at that time we're like, it's out of our hands. It is literally somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow.
I've never heard of seasonal being that limited. That's great.
Do you know how long it stays in the market? I mean, it's out of your hands, so you don't know, but like, I can't imagine. It sounds like you're doing everything right, where I know that come December 26th, chains and whatnot, I don't know what the situation's down in North Carolina, but like, they're clamoring for spring beers. And so it sounds like you guys don't have that problem at all.
I hope not.
No.
I would love for every bit of this beer to be sold by Christmas.
Yes.
Yes. And it's good to point out too that we call it a seasonal and LTO. It's really, I guess, fits into the LTO definition better, because we've got one seasonal lineup, and Cold Mountain is on top of that. So it's like this strain on our system. It is the biggest pain for storage for us. We're looking for, where do we go to put all these kegs before, and all these cans and bottles before they ship, and before we have this big party. So it's a logistical challenge every year, because it's on top of our regular seasonal and year-round lineup.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So yeah. And then for those, LTO is what, for those who are listening who are not
limited time offer.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
It's like the bonus track on a CD.
Yeah, it's your bonus beer.
Yeah,
that is, I mean, I'm learning so much about, I actually have more questions about the lower alcohol, because do people want more Imperial, or are they like cool with it being 5.9? Have you seen customers be like, I wish this were stronger, or I gravitate towards the Imperial?
I think Imperial is a very small amount compared to the classic. And then we've got other spinoffs too. And those spinoffs are really in the same range as the classic. We do a very small amount of barrel aged. It was phenomenal, sold out. We had 1 keg a day, and it was gone within a couple hours. So it's amazing. That's going to be in that, like 9 to 11%. But the vast majority of the audience is like, they're coming here and they want to spend 4 hours, and they want to see all the bands. They want to eat the food. They want to, go to the different areas of the brewery. Maybe they want to watch one of the 3 volleyball tournaments that we held over the festival. So, a 5.9 is like, that's a good spot to be. I don't want people walking around with an 11% all day long.
Sure.
I wanted to ask, just even though it's quite limited, have you seen a growth in this beer, in this style? I think the cynical people would say, oh, everybody just wants an IPA. Does this style sell well? Do people still like it?
They do. And it's become such a tradition for so many folks. And I hold on to it with there's so much emotion around this beer. I mean, it's very important to us. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, okay.
It is. But also it's not a huge quantity, because it goes so quickly. Like, you can do the math. If you have a beer that sells out in 4 days, like, yes, it does great, but it's not a big part of our entire financial picture.
Right.
It's just kind of the quantity that we're able to do in that short window is impressive. And so hanging on to that magic is the only way to keep the success, to continue. It's been so rewarding to see a beer continue to have this following and this excitement around it, and know it's a really rare thing. Like, there are a lot of beers out there that everyone would clamor for, and it's not happening nearly as much. So we have to continue to, evolve the celebration and make it something that people still want to gather around. And so I hope
I admire your restraint too, because I think a lot of breweries would say, "Oh, look, we sold out of this beer in 4 days. We should make
let's
twice
make
as
a
much
ton
and
of
sell
it."
for
Yeah.
8 days or whatever."
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Anyways, sorry to interrupt you there.
No, that's very true. Yeah, go ahead, Em.
No, that was, I mean, my last question was, where do you see the future of this beer? I mean, are you, like Don said, are you going to make more of it? Are you going to keep it small? Are you going to expand the festival, or just keep going as is? I mean, it sounds like you keep using the word magic, which I really like, because sounds like something magical about this beer and its relation to the brewery. So I don't know, like, changing it is collaborative. It's about the spirit of the holidays, the magic of the holidays. I didn't know if there was any kind of future of what you saw hoping for this beer, people keep drinking it or something like that.
Yeah, we can still grow the party that happens here. We had to change it when COVID happened, obviously. So we had this tiny ticketed event, and we kept the ticketing because then we know exactly how many people are coming. We can better plan for parking. We used to have like this remote parking that just kind of became really difficult to manage. And so we're giving like an amazing guest experience at every Cold Mountain like pass holder gets this amazing experience. So hanging on to that is now critical. It used to be like, come one, come all, like as many as pack in. And now it's like, no, let's give them an amazing experience. So, the lines used to be out the door, and the bathroom line and the cask line would cross each other in the tap room, and you were, elbowing people in the ribs. And it's not that anymore. It's like we have grown it into this, more enjoyable for our staff, more enjoyable for our guests, and just a great time, the level of talent and the music. So yes, keep the magic, like you were saying. And we do not plan to make a lot more Cold Mountain. We might end it up here and there, but there's no way that I would want to kind of dilute it, literally or physically. Yeah. And that sort of limited time period makes it really spectacular. I think that's something to hold on to pretty tightly.
Awesome.
It's wonderful. I'd love to try it one day, Don. I think that add this to our list of things we need to
add it to our long list
of travel.
I'm sure you have a very long list, but yes, you are absolutely invited, and we already have dates.
Okay.
So for our listeners, what are the dates for next year? If you could tell.
Bringing up my calendar right now. So launching into late 2024, it will be November 8 through 10.
All right. Don, put it on your calendar if we can make it.
I wrote it down.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you. Leah, if people want to learn more about Highland Brewing, how should they reach out? Social media or website? What's the best way for people to learn all about your brewery?
All about the brewery. Go to highlandbrewing.com. And if you look under beers, then you'll find Cold Mountain, and there's a little more there. If you want to learn about the party, probably social is going to have all the pictures and more things for you to check out. So we've got a huge campus here at the brewery, so there's a lot going on.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of the holiday season to speak with us about your brewery and Cold Mountain, and happy holidays. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Em. Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Leah.
Estrella Galicia, where brewing excellence has been a family tradition since 1906. Today, the fifth generation proudly continues the brewery's legacy. Immerse yourself in the rich taste of Galicia with its traditional family recipe, brewed consistently with the same authentic ingredients and methods. Trust them to deliver traditional flavor that's like no other every single time. Estrella Galicia is all about lager, rooted in German brewing heritage. Maintaining its commitment to tradition, they brew exclusively in their brewery in La Coruña. Each beer boasts its own distinctive recipe. No shortcuts, no compromises. Their passion for beer sets them apart as they embrace and celebrate the art of brewing. At Estrella Galicia, they love beer above all things. Experience the difference, sip by sip.
All About Beer is back, and we're asking for your support to help provide the independent beer media this rich and colorful industry deserves. Visit our website, allaboutbeer.com, where we're frequently posting new content. And please consider throwing us a few bucks at patreon.com/allaboutbeer. We have low-cost memberships for individuals and small and large companies alike. Every dollar goes to help produce new articles and podcasts.
Malteurop Malting Company is based in North America, specializing in growing and producing quality malts for the craft beer and distilling industries. With local farms and malt houses spread across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, Malteurop Malting Company's commitment to excellence is fully ingrained into every batch it produces, ensuring breweries and distilleries of any size can create the finest beverages on the planet. Visit malteuropemaltingco.com to learn how Malt Europe Malting Company can support your malting needs. Contact Malt Europe Malting Company at customersuccess@malteurope.com or dial 844-546-MALT for questions or to place your order.
Ben Kehs is currently the Innovation Brewing Manager at Deschutes Brewery, overseeing pilot plant, pub brewing, and barrel age operations. Before that, he had been a brewer, a cellar manager, head brewer at the Portland Pub, and barrel program manager, all at Deschutes. Ben received his bachelor's degree from Penn State University and has a diploma in brewing from the Institute of Brewing and Distilling. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
So, how long has Deschutes been making Jubelale? Like you're OG guys. You've been around for many, many moons. When did this beer start being your winter seasonal? Or is it seasonal, or is it a limited beer? Where does it fall within your realm of beer?
So it's one of our seasonals. It typically you'll see it start to hit the shelves in October, and we usually wrap the season up around the end of the year. So one of the shorter time spans compared to some of our other seasonals out there. But one of the interesting things about Jubelale is that this was Deschutes' very first seasonal. Jubelale was brewed in 1988, the first year of operation of our Ben Pub.
Wow. So it's
it's
an
been around for a
OG.
minute.
It's an elder statesperson, like I said before. That's like, I don't know. I can't think of another. I mean, I'm sure there are other breweries, but that's having a seasonal that's been done year after year after year. That's like almost 40 years old is pretty epic. And that's something that you definitely pat yourself on the back for that one.
It's pretty cool to see that it's stuck around as long as it has. Just kind of leading up to this podcast, I was looking around and found a newspaper clipping kind of talking about Deschutes, the pub, in the first year of operation. And they called out that at that point, I think Deschutes had produced about 40 barrels of beer, but talking about this new seasonal that's coming up that we made 35 cases of. And yeah, the first run was hand-filled in reused, obviously sanitized, but reused champagne bottles that they hand filled and cracked.
Whoa!
And I like that you had made 40 barrels of beer, which that's probably half of a batch for you.
Not even, I bet. Yeah. Whoa,
yeah,
that's
pretty cool. But yeah, this was kind of when Gary and John Harris, original brewmaster, were talking about spinning a seasonal up. This is Jubelale was kind of the first stab at what came out of that.
So how is that beer brewed? So how has it changed? I guess I have two questions.
Yeah.
I'm sure the beer has changed massively in the many, many years that you have brewed it. But when we talk about it now, how is this beer brewed? Like, what do you guys, is it What are you using for malts? Is it spiced? Are like how is Jubelale just brewed? That's my question.
Yeah, it's actually not changed a ton since the original brew in 1988. The ABV has come up a little bit. Some of the specialty malts have changed. A couple of the hops have changed, but I would say that the malt and hop flavor and aroma targets are pretty similar to that original recipe from the Ben Pub. So yeah, just a quick rundown on the malt side. Outside of the two-row malt, we're really driving the malt flavors and aromas with a couple different caramel malts. We're doing a C75, a C150, a little bit of roasted barley, and then some extra special malt from Brice. And
does it have a base style? Like, are you targeting, or is this just since it's been gone for so long that it's its own animal?
Yeah, and I think of it, and one of the reasons I was excited for this podcast, I feel like Winter Warmer, everybody kind of knows what it is, but it's not an official BA style. It's kind of something that is open to interpretation. I would say that ours took its cue from like the Young's Winter Warmer, Sam Smith, although Gary in an earlier interview said that they also took some cues from Sierra Nevada Celebration, Polliner, Salvatore, and some of the kind of other robust imports of the time. But the intention when it was originally created was to have something that check the box of a Winter Warmer in the sense of a higher gravity beer, but also just a richer malt presentation.
And spicy.
Yeah, those caramel malts definitely help drive that. When I think of this beer, I think of that C150 kind of drives a lot of what I expect with Jubelale in terms of that dried fruit, getting a little bit of kind of toffee. That extra special malt I think helps out a lot with that as well. I'm just getting some of that toffee prune. Yeah, pretty rich.
Yeah, it's cool to see you lean really hard on malt. I don't know when people are talking about Christmas beers or any beer in general, usually we're talking about the hops or we're talking about spices or adjuncts. But to hear you rather like get really excited. I mean, I don't know anyone who's ever been excited about C150.
Caramel malt definitely seems like it is not as prominent as it was 15, 20 years ago, just in general. But this beer is definitely a showcase for it.
It's awesome.
So you kind of talked about how Winter Warmer is kind of open to interpretation. So speaking of that, can you talk about how Deschutes likes to kind of riff on Jubelale with like imperial versions, or do you sometimes do limited edition taproom versions or anything like that?
Yeah, it's to me another one of the things that just makes this, of all the seasonals that we have and all the ones we've done, just really the unique one. I'd say one of our earlier ventures into doing a really high gravity beer was inspired by Jubelale. In the early years of the Ben Pub, there was a break-in and somebody tried to get a keg. They got a keg of Jubelale out of the building, but apparently there was a lot of snow on the ground. It was pretty cold, and they didn't get too far with the keg. And so the next morning, Gary and John found the keg, and a portion of the water had frozen in the keg just due to the temperature. And so like any good brewers, they tried it and really liked what just that concentration had done to the beer. And so that kind of inspired a higher strength Jubelale, which was referred to as Super Jubel. They would brew that at the pub every year, just like a once-off batch.
Oh, okay.
And it was, when I started at Deschutes, it was kind of a challenge for the brewers. If you were brewing down at the Ben Pub at the time and you got a chance to brew Super Jubal, it was your opportunity to kind of see how big you could get it that year. But yeah, that so we did that. We'll still do that every once in a while down at the Ben Pub. But in 2000, our first kind of larger scale packaged barrel aged beer was Jubal 2000. And
Okay.
yeah, that kind of turned into this once every 10 years. We in 2010 we did another barrel aged kind of imperial version of Jubelale, and then again in 2015. Now we did one in 2020 as well, but now it's kind of spun into a project that we call Cherries Jubelale, which is kind of that imperial Jubelale recipe, partly aged in wine barrels and then re-fermented with Montmorency cherries and aged on vanilla bean.
So I have to ask, how high ABV did Super Jubal get? What was it? What did you guys top out at?
Oh, I'd have to look back through the brew records, but I definitely remember seeing some 10+% ABVs on that base beer.
I love that story of the stolen cat. Like, that's a great story. That
And
the
you
beer,
made good out of bad.
yeah, and it was an accident. I mean, it's essentially the Icebox story,
exactly.
but a modern take on it. It's just very charming. I mean, that you got broken into, that sucks, but it's a very unique and interesting story.
I also want to say that I love the name Super Jubal, and I also love the name Cherries Jubal. So kudos to whoever thought of those
I think we
names.
lost a stereo and maybe
okay.
some meat out of the walk-in, but
meat that you got. So the person took a keg, a stereo, and some meat.
yeah,
Pretty
great
party.
Yeah, but yeah, I like how it turned a stereo is a stereo, but a Super Jubal is forever. So I like that.
We came out on top of it.
I think you guys, you really.
Somebody somewhere is sitting around, with a friend saying, there's this, that brewery Deschutes, and they make that Jubelale. I tried to steal a keg of theirs once, and they made a beer out of it. Sorry, I had to make a stupid joke.
No, it's fine, Don. I'm used to it.
Anyways, back to you, Em.
Yeah. So actually, I know Don is really interested about this as well. I have heard the label art changes every year.
It does.
Do you work with a different artist, and then why is that?
That started, so the first thing about this, up until 95, so the first 7 years had I would say, very similar, but it even in that time it was a wreath kind of around the Jubelale logo, and that changed up a little bit. But then starting in 1995, we started engaging Oregon artists to do the label art. And Gary said that one of the drivers for that was that, we kind of thought of the beer as fine art and taken a cue from the wine industry, wanting to use that label as another canvas, basically. And use it as a once a year opportunity to create some art and tap some local artists that we really liked.
Does Deschutes give any guidance on it, like that you want something featured each year, or is it really just a canvas, as you say, a blank canvas for an artist to showcase what they do?
Yeah, it starts as a blank slate. There is a little bit of guidance and conversation. Once that artist is narrowed down, there might be some slight tweaks here and there. I know Gary saying that originally the inspiration, it's, we call Jubal a festive winter ale. And so looking for pieces that help to kind of encapsulate that feeling. But beyond that, it's gone in we've done print media, we've done paintings, collage, this paint marbling technique for one of the years that was really cool. It's basically sky's the limit.
Is
Okay.
that with Super Jubal as well, or just does that change when you when you
The
package it, or does
the
that
Super
have?
Jubal label has changed over the years,
Okay.
but it's not an every year.
Yeah, it's true. I just didn't know if you were when anytime you brewed it, it changed, kind of similar to the Jubelale.
I don't want to tell your marketing department what to do or your merchandising department what to do, but all of those labels would make a very good poster.
We did a puzzle this year for the first time.
Puzzle! Oh,
Your merchandising department is one step ahead of me. That's
Don,
brilliant.
that is a
I was
handsome
I was
gift.
so thrilled that when I heard that we were doing that, because a lot of those labels have a really special place in my heart.
Do you
so
do you have a
to have them
favorite?
all in a puzzle is checking several boxes.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite from over the years, or is there one year that you're like, oh yeah?
There are a couple that I think of with that question. The one from 2004 into 2005, that was the first year I started working at Deschutes, and so that one always just has kind of a special feel to it for me. The year that, and I'll have to look back, I want to say this was 2009, but it was the year that the artist made a collage of this kind of winter scene with this band out in front of a lamppost. And the collage is made entirely out of former Jubelale labels. That was
cool.
pretty incredible.
I love art.
Amazing.
Art is great.
Yes.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm an artist. Art is like the things that people can do and like the creativity.
And to source, you get this idea and then you have to source all the old labels and that's amazing.
Oh, wonderful. I love that.
It's really cool. And the next time you're in Bend and you take a tour of the brewery, every brewery tour wraps up walking through our Jubelale Hall of Fame. So we have all of those pieces framed so you can take a look at them.
Okay.
Oh,
awesome.
Very cool. That's awesome.
I have a nerd question to go away from art. I have a nerd question. Does Jubelale and winter warmers more generally, do they cellar okay, or should they be consumed fresh?
I would say the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
We run a longer code date on Jubelale than a lot of our other beers. It's actually we do a 200-day code date for Jubal, along similar to Black Bee Porter and City and Stout, and that's something that we've proven out over the years that it's quite stable in the package. With Jubelale, with the bottle changing every year, and despite the fact that we're targeting the same beer every year, there is definitely there's a idea out there that Jubal changes every year, and so a lot of people will hold on to just the 6.7% standard Jubelale. They'll hold on to bottles over the years, and I'm always surprised how well it stands up. I mean, granted, I try to keep mine in the fridge just to kind of maximize that runway, but it stands up really well. There's always a race in Central Oregon amongst retailers to see who's the first one to get Jubelale on the shelf. And I've definitely seen some retailers hold on to beer from the prior year and get it out there, which made my
that's not bizarre. That's not
but, they know how to store it, so it's actually been pretty good.
Okay. Well, that's good because that's a nightmare for a sales rep.
Yeah.
I have one last question for you. Do you think winter ales have any cachet now? So, like, what do you think winter ale means in 2023 versus when Jubelale came out in the late 80s, or even say, 2010 or 2011? Do you think that Jubelale is beloved because it's a nostalgic beer? Or do you think that, this beer just has a lasting tradition that is because I've had it, it's delicious. So.
Yeah. It's a really interesting question. Every year our sensory program manager, Amanda Benson, will do a winter beer tasting for our sensory panel, and we'll kind of collect everything that we can get our hands on. And that exercise has been interesting to watch over the years, because we've definitely seen a slide towards more, I would say, like hoppy red ales that people are putting in that slide, which makes total sense with where the industry's gone. For the appeal for Jubelale, I think it's a part of its establishment, I think has been really helpful for that. And I think that for a lot of people, myself included, you just know that when you see that and it's that time of year, it just evokes a lot of those feelings of winter and winter in Oregon for me and years past. And so it just kind of helps that sense of place.
Awesome.
Yeah, it does feel, it's got a real, for people who haven't been to Bend, there's that lovely like winter, especially with the mountains and the volcano, the sisters, and the way that it's settled. I've never been there in the winter time, but I can imagine it's a beautiful place and a wonderful place to enjoy a Jubelale. So yeah.
Coming off the mountain, back into town and going to the pub and getting a pint, especially if we have the nitrogenated version on tap, is just
Nitro Jubel.
Oh yeah,
that sounds awesome. Don, add it to your list. We have to go to Bend in the winter now.
Yep.
Twist my arm.
We'll fly there from Highland.
We spoke to Leah from Highland Brewing and about winter ales previously, and so we've got a winter ale tour, I guess. Maybe 2025 we'll come and visit. That would be wonderful. So
that would be great. Yeah, please let me know. I'd love to show you around the brewery.
Wonderful. Don, any other questions for Ben?
I do not.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for teaching us about the history of Jubelale and how it's. I'm just more surprised at what a love letter to malt that winter ales can be, especially Jubelale. So, and the fact that there's a nitro version just makes me very pleased. So I appreciate all your insight and happy holidays.
My pleasure. Yeah, happy holidays to you as well.
So, Don, what'd you learn today?
I learned a lot, and I didn't realize how fundamental Winter Warmer was to the long-standing seasonal programs of both of our guests. But can I sort of do a little bit of a side turn here?
Yeah. What's up?
You used to live not too far from Bend in Eugene.
I did. I lived over the volcano.
Have you heard the urban legend about the Deschutes Jubelale label?
I have. So apparently, according to Bend legend, the amount of snow on the label is supposed to correspond with the amount of snow the city and the area is supposed to get. Yes, so if the label has a ton of snow on a rooftop, let's say, then they're going to get a lot of snow. I don't know how accurate this is, but I really love the fact that like both the people we talk to and the breweries and the beers have such tradition.
Yes, and it's become such a part of the culture of their both their communities. In the case of Highland with their party, and in the case of Deschutes with how much snow we're gonna get.
Yeah, how much snow.
I think that's amazing.
And then like lore about that stolen keg, and that feels to me like the story of Icebach, where the person left the beer out in the in the snow and it froze, and then it's a happy accident. It's very, very. I love the long. It's very tantamount to the holiday spirit. That's what it feels like. It feels like Christmas is all about tradition and certain things that we do, and holiday beers, winter beers have the same cachet, and like I love that.
They warm your heart as much as they warm your palate.
Exactly. And with that, we hope you will visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. Again, if you're feeling generous, visit our Patreon page, patreon.com/allaboutbeer, to support this show and others. If you have questions for the experts, email us, podcast@allaboutbeer.com. That's also the email for feedback, suggestions, or to inquire about supporting this show through advertising. Don, how can people reach out to you?
I am at The Dawn of Beer on X, Threads, and Instagram, and I always love talking about beer, so people can email me at dawn@thedawnofbeer.com. How about you, Em?
I am at Pints and Panels across all social media, and my website is www.pintsandpanels.com. shop.pintsandpanels.com. Before we go, here is a word from our sponsor.
Malteurop Malting Company is based in North America, specializing in growing and producing quality malts for the craft beer and distilling industries. With local farms and malt houses spread across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, Malteurop Malting Company's commitment to excellence is fully ingrained into every batch it produces, ensuring breweries and distilleries of any size can create the finest beverages on the planet. Visit malteuropemaltingco.com to learn how Malt Europe Malting Company can support your malting needs. Contact Malt Europe Malting Company at customersuccess@malteurope.com or dial 844-546-MALT for questions or to place your order. Estrella Galicia, where brewing excellence has been a family tradition since 1906. Today, the fifth generation proudly continues the brewery's legacy. Immerse yourself in the rich taste of Galicia with its traditional family recipe, brewed consistently with the same authentic ingredients and methods. Trust them to deliver traditional flavor that's like no other every single time. Estrella Galicia is all about lager, rooted in German brewing heritage. Maintaining its commitment to tradition, they brew exclusively in their brewery in La Coruña. Each beer boasts its own distinctive recipe. No shortcuts, no compromises. Their passion for beer sets them apart as they embrace and celebrate the art of brewing. At Estrella Galicia, they love beer above all things. Experience the difference, sip by sip.
Don, cheers and happy holidays. May your
Cheers.
season
Oh.
be warm and bright with good beer. May your heart be full and may your cup runneth over.
You are so kind. You actually surprised me with how kind you are, and I did interrupt you. So, but I am not as eloquent as you, so I will just say cheers and happy holidays, Em.
Happy holidays, everybody.